It's a horrific thing to be accused of being on the side of evil when one is sure that one is on the side of good, and then to be proven wrong. If you add to this a fantastic metaphysics where good and evil are real cosmic forces, the discovery of one's own mistaken alliance can be terrifying. And we're going to dip into some of that terror for this adventure. Welcome to PhD&D, everyone. I'm Dr. Bowers, and it's Dragon Week, or it should still be by the time this video comes out. And when it comes to Ravenloft and dragons, I've talked about this a few times before. There's Naranjan, and I did a video on that, and then there's also Vanrak Doom from Dungeon of the Mad Mage. That's a miniature Ravenloft domain in Halaster's dungeon. What I wanted to do for this video is to fix up a Ravenloft domain that seems a little lackluster, but which could use, in my opinion, a dragon. We're going to the Shadowlands. As with all my Ravenloft videos, we'll go over what this domain is, I'll list some media to help us get an imaginative grip on the domain, and then sketch out an adventure. This adventure isn't too long or elaborate, it's a high-level adventure with just 2 parts, level 14 and level 15, so 2 acts and across 2 levels. PCs will be level 15 when they finish, so if DMs want to let them level up to 16 at the end, they can. Before we get started, however, what is the domain of the Shadowlands? Well, Elena Faithhold, the warrior princess, presides over this forested land of peasants and heroes. Her sword is an intelligent and evil weapon called Eban Bane, and Eban Bane, eager to draw blood, suffers constant agony from Elena's refusal to use it. Even more viciously, the sword Eban Bane is not that entity's true form. Deep within a metaphysical prison lies Eban Bane's true form, a black dragon, powerful enough to snuff out the sun. And yet here, held hostage, hopeless, helpless, trapped with nothing but a window into the Shadowlands, in the form of an unused sword. Okay, so if you read the write-up in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and if you take a look at the old 2nd edition Ravenloft materials, you'll find that there are a lot of really cool, interesting ideas around the Darklord Elena Faithhold. Elena is a kind of fallen paladin, and her curse is this, that whenever somebody has strong feelings about her, whether positive feelings or negative feelings, this triggers what Elena thinks is her paladin's sense for evil. If you feel anything strong about Elena near her, in other words, she'll think that you're an evil being, and what she thinks is her paladin's 6th sense for evil will go off. Since Elena is the political ruler of her domain, her punishment of her people as wicked heretics is a regular occurrence. Meanwhile, if you look up Eban Bane, the Darklord from 2nd edition, it's this intelligent evil weapon, and its curse, in my opinion, is not nearly as interesting. The curse of Eban Bane is to never be used. I think Elena Faithhold is a more interesting character, so we're going to make her more prominent than what Van Richten's Guide would otherwise indicate. We're not going to make her the Darklord, or at least, we're not going to make her the only Darklord, however. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to change things so that Eban Bane, the sword, is really, secretly, an ancient black dragon that's powerful enough to destroy the sun. That's what it wanted to do before the dark powers got a hold of it and trapped it in a metaphysical prison. Now she's trapped beneath the Shadowlands, or in some way adjacent to the Shadowlands, in a sub-demi-plane of her own. And in the same way, an indungeoned prisoner might have only a narrow window to look out of, which doesn't even allow them to reach their hand out into the fresh air, our dragon, Eban Bane, has only a narrow slit through which to peer into the Shadowlands. That narrow window through which she peers is the sword that is her avatar, Eban Bane the Sword. So the dragon Eban Bane, trapped in a metaphysical prison, can see through and hear through and feel through the sword Eban Bane. And because the dragon yearns to kill and destroy, this is indeed an agonizing, confining, frustrating, suffocating torture. Now we're going to add another layer to it. We're going to fill the Shadowlands with creatures which would be good-aligned monsters. In fact, we're going to keep their good alignment. Unicorns, sphinxes, pegasi, and whatever other fluffy creatures would be comfortable populating a Lisa Frank poster. But these good-aligned monsters, they feel the corruption from Eban Bane, and more than anything, they are driven to try to rescue Elena Faithhold from it. They want to rescue Elena. It's driving them mad. But here's the thing. wanting to rescue Elena means they have strong feelings about Elena, which means that Elena's paladin sense for detecting evil, or what I should say, her paladin sense for detecting evil, must go off. So Elena Faithhold is going to be in a domain that's full of these good-aligned monsters, but she's cursed to think that those monsters are evil, and so she'll be ordering their slaughter. Meanwhile, the ancient black dragon, whose very presence poses this whole predicament, is left frustrated that she's not doing the killing of all those things up there that she hates so much. That's my contribution for Dragon Week, everyone, and my series of Ravenloft videos. This reworking of the Shadowlands to make it have a dragon as a Darklord, or at least as one of two Darklords. A dragon and a warrior princess. It's kind of poetic. Now, one more thing. The pièce de résistance. When Elena Faithhold sentences someone to death, she sentences them to go into the Dungeon of No Return. It's a dungeon near her keep, which is also called Faithhold, and that dungeon is just a narrow rock tunnel down towards a one-way dimensional gate, which leads to the metaphysical prison holding Eban Bane the dragon. So rendered a helpless prisoner, the dragon also has every now and then a bunch of mortals coming in to gawk at it. Slaughtering them isn't even any fun. And with this in mind, let's talk about some influences, that is media to help us get an imaginative grip on this whole domain, and then sketch out this short adventure. When it comes to influences, I'm just thinking of some high fantasy stuff like the novella from 1961 by Poul Anderson, 3 Hearts and 3 Lions, which has a particularly frightening scene early on when our protagonist discovers just how evil and dangerous elves and fairies are. This book is famous because it's sort of the source for D&D's alignment system, the lawful chaotic thing. And it's also the source for why we think dwarves talk like Scotsmen. It's because of a dwarf named Hughie in this book. But anyway, there's this scene where our hero is among elves and fairies, and they seem nice, and they seem good and friendly, and he even kind of wants to befriend them himself. But then something happens. There's a sudden turn of events when he realizes that these things are not only dangerous, but evil, and he narrowly escapes them. I love that turn. It's towards the beginning. But since our adventure will have PCs battling what they would otherwise think of as good creatures who are all ferocious and rabid, it's a nice place to start. There's also the 1985 Ridley Scott film Legend, which I'm citing just for its aesthetic. We're going to have some unicorns. It has some unicorns. And when it comes to second edition Ravenloft materials, there's the 1991 supplement Darklords, which tells you all about Ebonbane, and then there's the 1992 supplement Islands of Terror, which includes an entry all about Nidala, which is Elena Faithhold's domain, and Elena Faithhold as a Darklord. Okay, now, to our adventure. This is a simple adventure. It's really just a dungeon with a preamble. In Act 1, at level 14, the PCs arrive in the Shadowlands from the Mists, only to witness the common villagers' apathy and listlessness, as well as the ferocity of what should otherwise be good-aligned creatures. They eventually meet Elena Faithhold's guards, who take the PCs to see her. She tells the PCs of the Dungeon of No Return, weaving whatever lies are necessary to get the PCs into said dungeon. And then in Act 2, we have said dungeon. And said dungeon is going to be taken from MCDM's Where Evil Lives, that book of boss monster layers that's so excellent that I've been using. Using is a light word, maybe ransacking. So let's sketch it out in detail. In Act 1, at level 14, after stepping out of the Ravenloft mists, the PCs find themselves in a simple medieval village, wreathed in forests of oak and evergreen with a castle in the distance. There's of course fog and mist everywhere, everything is a little drab. It does look like the Shadowfell, but like a fairy tale Shadowfell? The villagers are all glum, and they're reluctant to say anything about what the land is, who rules it, or what authorities they answer to. If threatened, charmed, or persuaded, however, the villagers will admit that these are the Shadowlands, and that the ruler is warrior princess Elena Faithhold. People used to think about her and used to talk about her a lot more, but what started happening is anyone who talks about her, and even anyone who thinks about her, eventually gets taken away by her guards. If the guards come for you, they say, they'll take you to the Dungeon of No Return. The name is all you need to know. And then, right then, as soon as the PCs learn this information, monsters attack! A sphinx of secrets, a unicorn, and a handful of hippogriffs all attack the PCs. They're ferociously aggressive, shouting things like, "No, you cannot defend her, you defenders of darkness! We will save her! We will take her away from this prison!" Now these monsters, they fight to the death. They're utterly aggressive, unyielding. You cannot reason with them, but in all other respects, they act more or less like enraged unicorns and sphinxes would. The personality is there, something else is off. But not long after the battle, a troop of Elena Faithhold's guards come. They're wearing shining knightly armor, and they've got tabards with, like, a lion and a couple of roses on it, or something like that. And they ask the PCs what happened. Have a little social interaction here, and the guards are going to ask the PCs to come with them, specifically to meet Princess Elena Faithhold, who rules over this land. They'll say that the princess needs help with something, or that she seeks assistance of heroes like them. Now, the PCs could refuse to go, in which case they'll find no shortage of good aligned creatures that they can fight out near the wilderness outside of that village. Otherwise, they're off with the guards, and hey, along the way, they're going to have some of those fights anyway. Specifically, they're going to be attacked by a centaur warden, a pixie wonderbringer, and another unicorn. Like their predecessors, these good aligned creatures fight to the death ferociously, psychotically, and just as the centaur warden is dying, he curses the source of evil that he is sure that the PCs serve, that evil that lies in the dungeon of no return. Now, when the PCs arrive at Faithhold, Princess Elena welcomes them, albeit with knights and gladiators standing by, and she invites them to feast and to rest. And regardless of how the PCs feel about Elena, they'll probably feel some way, and that will get Elena to think that the PCs are evil, so she's going to start scheming about how to get them into the dungeon of no return. She's willing to play along with what the PCs heard from the dying centaur. She'll say, yes, there is this evil infecting her kingdom, yes, it does lie in the dungeon of no return, and although she does use it as a just source of punishment, she has been secretly hoping that some heroes could go in and slay that source of evil. Or maybe Elena and her court wizards will generate some kind of illusion to indicate that indeed Elena is cursed and the fell powers which curse her emanate from the Dungeon of No Return. But she's going to try to get the PCs in there, and once it seems like they're going in there, indeed once they're going in there, they level up to 15 and then we proceed with Act 2. And for Act 2 at level 15, just run MCDM's Coronal Hollow, that Black Dragon lair. Run it exactly as it is written, except for change the name of Kazildrath the Black Dragon to Eban Bane to fit the Ravenloft lore. And should the PCs defeat this awesome Black Dragon boss? Well, they've defeated a Darklord of a Ravenloft domain, or at least one of two. Is defeating the dragon enough to send the whole domain asunder and send the PCs spiraling into the mists? Or are they spat out now, and they must deal with Elena Faithhold instead? I don't know, but you can tell me in the comments, and happy Dragon Week. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to do all the internet things, click like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon if you want new notifications on this channel, and thanks.